Thank you, Tony, for the warm introduction, and thank you, Guardians, for all that you do to preserve the Martin County difference. Thanks for coming out this afternoon and for the opportunity to get to speak to you just for a few moments. I've served now as the Martin County Commissioner for District 3 for about 13 months. And I would say this is one of the most rewarding things that I've ever gotten to do. So thank you for the opportunity to represent you in your county government. There are a lot of things we could talk about today, like the Martin County difference, the Martin County comprehensive plan that makes us different, the half-cent sales tax referendum called Martin Forever that passed last November that will enable us to purchase thousands of additional acres of conservation land in the coming years, or on our recent progress in septic to sewer conversions that will help us to clean up our waterways. And I know all of those issues are near and dear to all of our hearts, and particularly to this particular group. But instead, I want to focus our attention on a subject that I spoke about at the Hope Sound Chamber of Commerce breakfast a few weeks ago that seemed to get good reviews, and people seem to appreciate it. And I think it bears repeating. So I thought we would make that same presentation again to you. Let's begin with a question. How many of you have ridden around in Martin County and you've noticed these big yellow signs on the sides of the roads about a new development going in? Perhaps it's under construction. Perhaps it's not yet under construction, but you know it's coming. The big yellow sign is there. And you said to yourself, why did those commissioners allow this to happen? I will confess that I have felt that way myself on a number of occasions. And what we can do to answer this question is to deepen our understanding of local government power in Florida and to look at a few of the limitations to that power. First, local government power. The Florida Constitution established the doctrine of home rule in 1968 in the Constitution, and it basically said that local governments have the power of self-government as long as the state has not already preempted that power. And an example of preemption would be the Live Local Act, Senate Bill 102, which basically says that commercially zoned property can be converted to high-density apartment buildings administratively and without county commission approval if certain conditions are met. And we have a project in Martin County that's being built currently under the Live Local Act. It is called Barron Landings on Canner Highway by Cove Road. It's the old Golf World site, and it's under construction now, and it will soon be 302 new apartment units. And it's coming online without county commission approval. It's Senate Bill 102. That's preemption. The state has preempted us, on that issue. Another limitation on local government power has to do with our policies and laws that govern land. And these policies and laws are reflected in the phrases on these big yellow signs that you see on the sides of the roads. And we've made up some of these yellow signs to illustrate to you what these signs say. And we want you to key into a few key phrases so that when you're riding around looking at them, hopefully you're not driving off the road. My wife gets frustrated at me at times because sometimes I I pull over or maybe make a U-turn because I'm not familiar with one of those signs, and I feel like I need to know where they all are, and just in case somebody asks me, hey, have you know about that one over there and what's going on with that? So anyway, my executive aide, Colleen, is going to help flip through a few of these signs for us. Thank you, Colleen, for coming. And I've teased her publicly in the past about how maybe she should just be the commissioner because she's very popular. And I'm very honored that I was able to get her as my executive aide because she makes my life a whole lot easier. Well, the first sign we want to talk about is the Comprehensive Plan Amendment, CPA. And anytime you see CPA, I just want you to remember a few things. The first thing is that it's a broad policy decision that applies to future land use. And this is a legislative decision. And think about what that probably means. If the commissioners are sitting up there as legislators, and it's about policy, and the legislators' opinions are relevant on the matter at hand. So it's a legislative decision. It does not apply to a specific parcel of property, but rather it applies to a large chunk of land on the future land use map. FLUM, F-L-U-M. There's this big map of the county with these color-coded squares in various places throughout the county that denote different densities that are allowed in those chunks of land. The legal standard for a comprehensive plan amendment is fairly debatable. As long as the decision is fairly debatable, you can say yes or no. And this comprehensive plan amendment is the time when it is fair to praise or criticize your commissioner for his or her vote on the matter at hand, as this is the time when commissioners have the greatest degree of discretion. So just remember that about the comprehensive plan amendment. These are like the big decisions, oftentimes larger projects or larger developments, but not always. Sometimes even smaller developments need a comp plan amendment. So, Colleen, if you could switch this on, we're going to talk about the second one, and this is called the zoning change. And unlike the comprehensive plan amendment that is a legislative policy decision on a large chunk of land, the zoning change applies to a specific parcel of property. And this decision is a quasi-judicial decision. And think about what that means. You remember we said the comp plan amendment was a legislative decision. The zoning change is a judicial decision. It's like the commissioners are sitting up there as judges in black robes. And think about what that probably means. Their opinions, the commissioners' opinions are not controlling on the matter. The legal standard is different. Instead of fairly debatable, like with the comp plan amendment, the legal standard is competent, substantial evidence in the record. So if you want to say no to a zoning decision, you need good evidence-based reasons for saying no. You can still say no, but it's got to be more objective than with the comprehensive plan amendment. So the commissioners have less discretion with zoning changes. And then the third sign we want to look at is called Plan Unit Development, PUD. The Plan Unit Development is a type of zoning. It's still a zoning decision, but it's a type of zoning that is unique. The key word for PUD is negotiation. The PUD is a negotiation. It is where the applicant and the county negotiate for public benefits. The applicant usually wants a density bump or increase in exchange for things that the straight zoning rules do not require. Perhaps he was willing to put in a traffic light at the entrance to the development, or perhaps he's willing to put in a thick tree buffer along the main road when the zoning rules would not require it. And in exchange for that, he wants to build, 10 or 20 more houses, make the lot smaller. And that's called a PUD. It's a negotiation. And Colleen, did you circle that word negotiation? So they'll remember that. And then lastly, we want to talk about final site plan approvals. When you get your comprehensive plan amendment and your zoning change, you come in for your final site plan approval. And I like to think of the comprehensive plan amendment as the cake and the zoning change as the icing on the cake and the final site plan as the cherry on top. And like zoning changes, final site plans are quasi-judicial decisions with the legal standard of competent substantial evidence in the record. And this is generally not the time when projects get shut down. This is the time to look at the details of the project to make it a little better. So commissioners generally have even a little bit less discretion on the final site plan approvals conceptually than even with the zoning. So you have the most discretion with the comprehensive plan amendment, a little bit less discretion with the zoning change, and even a little less discretion with the final site plan approval. Now, final site plans can be major or minor final site plans. So the next sign we're looking at is the major final site plan. I just want you to remember two things about that. One is that major final site plans are 50 houses or more, and that they do come before the Board of County Commissioners for final approval because they're major final site plans. The last sign we want to look at is the minor final site plan. And if you don't remember anything else I said today, I want you to remember the word minor. Minor final site plans are projects with fewer than 50 houses, and here's the big kicker. They do not come before the Board of County Commissioners for review. Instead, like with the Senate Bill 102 Live Local Act, they are approved administratively by the Growth Management Department. So these minor final site plans are all over Martin County. I dare say that 40 or 50% of the yellow signs that you see driving along the roads say minor final site plan. There are 6 or 8 of them in Hope Sound right now. And none of them are ever coming to the Board of County Commissioners. I'm going to give you 3 quick examples. One, Oasis at Hope Sound, which is the old flower farm site on Gomez Avenue. It's a proposal for 38 home sites, so it's less than 50. So it's a minor final site plan approval. They don't need comprehensive plan amendments or zoning changes, and the final site plan approval is not even coming to the Board of County Commissioners. Another one is Hope Sound Center on Lairs Avenue and Bridge Road. This one's not going to be popular. I wish the guy wouldn't build it. If you think of that corner right there, right on the main drag coming into Hope Sound. He wants to build a townhouse building on Lares Avenue that's 3 stories with 5 townhouse units. And then as he wraps around the corner on Bridge Road, he wants to build 2 small commercial buildings with restaurants on the bottom and apartments on the top. The sign is up, and if you look at it, it says minor final site plan approval. It'll never be coming to the board. I know that when they start building it, I'm probably going to get a lot of emails, and I wish I could do something about it, but it's not coming to the board. Just so you know. And then the third one I'll mention is a little project called Dunworth on Dixie Highway by the Hope Sound Scrub Preserve. There are 2 buildings that are being built right now, and they're going to have commercial on the bottom and townhouse units on the top. It's a very small project, but never coming to the Board of County Commissioners. So in conclusion, when reviewing these signs in the future, I hope you will consider whether the decision is legislative, as MP comprehensive plan amendment, or whether the decision is quasi-judicial, like with the zoning change, the PUD zoning, or the final site plan approval. And also, when you see the words final site plan, consider whether it's major or minor. And remember that the minor projects never come to the Board of County Commissioners. I hope this little talk has been helpful to you in helping you understand how commissioners deal with land use decisions in Martin County. I want to thank you again for your vital role in preserving the Martin County difference. And I appreciate each and every one of you and all that you do for Martin County. And I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.